We'll go ahead and call the September 18th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting to order. Confirmation of posting and roll call, please.
Thank you. This meeting was posted in accordance to Nevada open meeting law. All members are present in the chambers with the exception of Member Biaggi, who's participating via teleconference, and Member DeTeresa, who's absent.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to the first public comment. This is the initial public comment. Anyone wishing to be heard, please come forward. There will be public comment on the actual agenda items. Anyone out there listening in can call into 702-589-9629. Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and close this initial public comment. Agenda item number 1 for possible action, approval of the minutes of August 21st, 2024 regular meeting. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
I've got a motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 2 for possible action, matters pertaining to approximately 0.29 acres located at 1301 Cattail Falls.
All right, good evening, Chairman McDonald and members of the Commission. Nikisha Lyons, City Planner with the Community Development Department. Before you this evening is a variance request to permit an accessory structure at 1301 Cattail Falls Street, located within the rear yard of their interior lot, with a proposed height of 18 feet 3 inches, whereas City Code requires a maximum height of 16 feet for accessory structures. The applicant is seeking this variance to construct a detached RV garage with access from an existing driveway that's connected to Cattail Falls Street. And in order to construct the proposed RV garage with the overall height in excess of 2 feet 3 inches of the maximum height requirement, an approved variance is required prior to the review and approval of a building permit. The additional height is needed to store a 14-foot camper with 2 feet of clearance. All other zoning and building code requirements have been met. The application, justification, and applicable drawings have been included in the packet, starting on page 16. And on the screen is the site plan, which you can see the proposed garage and storage area in that upper right-hand side of the diamond-shaped lot. This is a floor plan. It's kind of small, but it's a garage with a storage area and a bathroom. Here's some elevations. The materials and the color are going to match the home. Here is an aerial view. The area that is to the southeast of the pool is where the garage is proposed. And here's just a viewpoint of their existing attached garage. And you can see the camper in the back. So in that area is where this is going to be proposed. So I'll just go back. Alrighty. So section 1132(4) of City Code sets forth the criteria that must be met in order for a variance to be granted. It is necessary that findings be provided for all 5 criterion for the variance to be approved, and failure to meet any one of the criterion is sufficient enough reason for the denial of a variance. So beginning on page 12 of the agenda packet, staff has provided the applicant's response and staff findings regarding each of the criterion. Based on this information, staff offers 2 options to the Commission tonight regarding the requested variance. These are denoted on page 14 of the agenda packet. The first consideration is approval of the variance as the request meets all of the criteria. The second consideration is for denial of the variance as criteria A and B are not met, as there are no exceptional circumstances applicable to the property, as an increased height for the building is not a property right, nor is the variance necessary for the preservation and enjoyment of a substantial property right possessed by other properties within the same vicinity or zone, but which is denied to this property in question, as the applicant could redesign the detached accessory garage to come into conformance with the code, and they would just have to accommodate their camper elsewhere. So starting on page 15 is a summary of similar variances that the Planning Commission has considered in the past. The commission has the option to associate conditions or modifications to the request if they deem that necessary. The variance has been noticed and conforms with city code, and we've received no written public comments at this point. So the request before the commission tonight is to conduct a public hearing on the application for a variance and to consider V 24-673 for a variance to permit an accessory structure within the rear yard of an interior lot with a height of 18 feet 3 inches, whereas section 11-20-2B4 of city code requires a maximum height of 16 feet, and to make a motion to either approve or deny the request based on staff findings as denoted on page 16 of the agenda packet. I'm available for any questions that the commission may have. The applicant and property owners, Charlotte Fox and Jason Fox, they are in attendance tonight, and they can answer any questions that you may have of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Nikisha. Do we have any questions for staff? Yes, please, go ahead.
Could we go back to the picture of the existing garage?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Holly.
So that on the plan, am I reading the plan right, that that's at 12 foot 9 inch?
Okay, so on the plan, that is like what is proposed. This is their existing attached garage. This is 20 feet.
That's 20.
Yes, that's 20 feet
Okay.
that's attached to their house, yes.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question of the applicant? The camper doesn't fit in that garage?
If you wouldn't mind, please coming forward. State your name for the record and then answer. Thank you.
Jason Fox.
So if you have a boat in that garage, you couldn't put the camper in that garage and then build the accessory structure to meet the code requirement?
The goal is to, we currently have a boat in the garage that kind of fills that space already. It would be the same scenario if I did it. The current garage has a 14-foot opening with a 16-foot ceiling for the boat, and it would be taller, the accessory structure would be a taller structure than the structure that's currently submitted, if that makes any sense.
No, I'm asking if you just switch the boat and the camper. What, is your boat so tall you need a structure?
It's not so tall, but the functionality of the boat in the space, I do a lot of fishing. There's a fishing boat in there, and when you're in there and you have the rods kind of moving around and stuff, you break things, hitting the garage doors and the openers and stuff like that, and that was the whole intent, was to be able to have that space and not have that issue and or concern in that space. So that was the intent.
Any other questions for staff, and then we'll continue with the applicant. Any other for staff? Okay, continue with the applicant, please.
Thank you. How tall was that garage door on the existing? Did you say 14?
The existing is 14
That's what I
with a
thought.
16-foot ceiling, yes.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant at this time?
And it shows here that you already have approval from the HOA.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We will now conduct the necessary public hearing. We'll open up the public hearing at this time. Anyone wishing to be heard, please make yourself known. Yes, please come forward. State your name for the record.
I'm Merle Maher. I live further down the street on Cattail Falls, 1401. Couple questions from the plan. what are the setback restrictions to have it from the rear property and side property walls? The reason I'm asking that question is I put in a hot tub when we built and was told that it had to be a 6-foot minimum up at either wall in order to just put a cover over the hot tub. And most of our RV parking that they have with these kind of garages and that, when they're a solid structure, they're more like what his existing garage is. But when they get to crowding onto the neighbor's wall that is shared, they're usually an open structure. So it's more like an open lattice kind of patio type cover that we have throughout the community, which is what I was told was standard when buying and purchasing. I've been there 3 years. So that's kind of my concern with it. So that's why I was kind of curious what the setback rules then really are here for Boulder City and our community then with it, because that looks like that's crowding both the mobile home park property that abuts it and then the neighbor that's on our street as well. That looks like it's going to be pretty crowding, and that, so that's a very tall structure to put that blocks your view and your light on your side yard. So that would be what I'd ask for consideration.
Thank you very much. And just to follow up, if you've got questions about particular setback requirements, please, Community Development Office is absolutely open. Nikisha, if you'd like to answer those right now, otherwise they do have an open door policy to give you all the information, but she's going to answer some of them right now for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So typically for the rear yard, there is no setback. There is just a maximum lot coverage of 35% for your rear yard. And on the side, it depends on the height that you want. Or depending on where you locate it, it's going to be different height requirements. You would need a 5-foot setback if you want to go up to 16 feet in height for a detached structure. But you can be closer. You can be right on the property line and then 4 feet, 11 inches, but you can only go up 8 feet in height. So those are the typical setbacks that we have.
I have another question. I should know this, so I apologize in advance. If the structure were open, are the requirements the same?
Yes. If
So
it's
when it-
detached, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you. We were conducting a public hearing. Anyone else wishing to be heard on this matter? And anyone listening out there can call in to 702-589-9629. Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and close this public hearing portion. Bring it around for conversation, entertain a motion. I would highlight, I'll kick us off, is that when we look historically, and I know that we've always liked to look at what's been out there, and looking at some of the recent approvals up to 20 feet, 18 feet, 21 and a half feet, things of that nature, I think it goes in line based on height of what has been granted in the past by the commission. So that's just one element to consider. Outside of that, I did speak to neighbors, and they were not only okay with the project, but based on what the applicants have done in their existing home over the years and the renovations, they were excited to the level of attention to detail that they provide and do that. So their direct neighbors were confident and happy with this project as well. So anything else?
Well, I think some of the approvals, when I looked at them, they're in the like San Felipe area where they have much bigger lots, and it's zoned R120 versus what Storybook is zoned R17, and those approvals were from many years ago. So I don't know. I mean, it was still a variance, obviously, so it didn't meet code. I'm kind of torn myself. I appreciate the fact that they're following the proper process, and it looks, their house is beautiful and everything looks good, but I'm just torn about the reasoning. I'm not sold yet.
And I think, Beth, it was you who highlighted the current existing structure, because we'd entertained the question of, couldn't we just throw the camper into the existing structure, shorten this one, not even have to be here this evening, and throw the boat in there? And we talked about the lifestyle there, but we also have the camper itself being 14 foot and the door of the existing structure being 14 foot. So, you know, it's not just a lifestyle thing. I think we missed highlighting that with his existing RV, he could not just lower the plans and make his everything work. Any other comments? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
I have one more question. Nikisha, a variance, once it's approved and the structure's built, that, then it's over, right? Like, it's not like a conditional use permit where you can take it back, because, like, let's say, for example, somebody was approved for a variance and then they use the structure for like an illegal Airbnb. Does that have any, could that, you can't lose your variance when the structure's already built, right?
Answer that. So certainly the planning commission can put conditions on the variance. And if they don't abide by those conditions, the city could follow up with regarding enforcement. But to require them to remove the structure, that would be very difficult. But if, for example,
Difficult or impossible?
I think it would, I'd have to talk to the city attorney, but it would be difficult to force them to remove it. So it depends on what the conditions are. We can certainly ensure compliance under the conditions that are set by the planning commission.
Okay. Thank you.
I move to conditionally approve V-24-674 based on the findings, subject to conditional conditions within the staff report.
I'll second, but can I ask for an amendment? Mr. Rudd?
Sure.
Would you consider putting the condition on with the condition that under no circumstances there would be any short-term rental used? I mean, it's against our code anyway, but I want to be clear that it wouldn't be used as a residence.
I don't think it's zoned for duplex or second.
Just a point of clarification, there is a condition on here already that talks about it can't be converted to a dwelling unit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it wouldn't, yeah, it
All
wouldn't
right,
be able
thank
to
you.
do so. Yeah, of course.
Just he got it.
So I do have a motion and a second. We'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to item number 3, monthly progress report.
Nothing to report.
The best reports. All right, fantastic. This brings us to our final public comment. Anyone wishing to be heard? And as always, you can call in at 702-589-9629. Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the final public comment. Meeting adjourned.